What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down why on earth NIO and the overall market basically took a hit today. They didn't necessarily crash as hard as they could have if we got 100 basis points for the rate hike, but despite getting 75, we did end up seeing the market basically bleed because Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, he said some very important things that were very hawkish for the markets, and the markets did take a hit because of this. So I'm going to show you exactly what he said, why the markets dropped the way they did, and what does this mean for tomorrow for NIO and the near-term future. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I got to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any of these 12 free stocks could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 9 days, so please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So NIO is down over 10% for the day, and I mentioned to everyone, okay, today is going to be a huge day, and this is exactly what I was talking about. It was such a big day, the market shows a big direction, and NIO got hammered. I hate to say that, but it is the truth. Now, let me be honest with everyone. I'm bullish for NIO. I'm so impressed and amazed with everything the company is doing. I believe NIO is going to soar for many years to come. The fundamentals are strong. However, in the market right now, we're not moving based on fundamentals. Otherwise, companies like NIO and Tesla would be soaring and soaring and soaring. That's not what's going on in the markets right now. Right now, we're moving based off news, based off the Fed, the economy, and things like that. And NIO obviously is heavily traded in the USA. It is affected by what happens in America. So that's why it's very important for me to discuss what happened today in the markets. So let's start right here. So the federal funds rate came out during the FOMC meeting, and we actually saw them raise the rate by 3/4 of a percentage point, or a 75 basis point rate hike. So what does this mean for the markets? What does this mean for NIO? Well, here's what's very important. The Fed did raise it by 75 basis points, which actually makes me more bullish over the next couple of weeks, because I do see NIO and a lot of stocks starting to push as we approach midterms, and the market has already priced this in. But the market did have an initial reaction to what Jerome Powell said, and that's the reason why we saw the markets bleed the way they did. So why did the market drop? It's because of what Jerome Powell said. And he basically said a lot of important things. Just to summarize some of his biggest points, he mentioned that chances of a soft landing will likely be diminished in pursuit of restoring price stability. So what he's saying is that when inflation is so high, the Fed has to rug pull the markets. They have to rug pull our economy in a way by raising rates. And we're not going to get a super soft landing after all. The chances of us actually getting a soft landing are a lot less than before. This means that we could see the economy take a hit because of the rate hikes. Markets could crash. Markets could take hits. Real estate is most likely going to crash. It's already starting to crash. We're starting to see maybe unemployment get affected. Employment entirely in the USA will be affected. He also mentioned that the speed of the rate hike is what adds risks to it. And Powell actually kind of like addressed this, and he actually agreed, which is why they're very careful. He also mentioned that no one knows if the Fed hikes will mean recession. That's obviously him just, pushing a narrative. It's not necessarily the truth, because we did technically enter a recession because we had 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. But if we're talking about the whole year, it is very likely that we could see even more negative quarters. But Powell did mention that a recession is on the table, very possible. We already know that, so it's nothing new. He also mentioned that they're going to continue to raise rates again and again. And he mentioned the fact that for the year 2023, we don't have a set date as to when they're going to start the quantitative easing process. This means lowering the rates, becoming less strict on policy when they're going to kind of like ease things. We don't have a set date just yet. Then he also mentioned, I think right over here, that inflation has not really come down yet. So very important, because we are still seeing big issues perpetuating, and he knows this, which is not good for the markets. He also mentioned, let me actually get to this part, that once inflation starts to go down, people will begin feeling better. So we're still waiting for that. So right now, he's fully committed to bringing inflation down. He's willing to be aggressive. I mean, I have to be honest with everyone. The market does not like words like this. Does this mean we're going to crash forever? The answer is no. I do think the market is just kind of like taking this in. It may take a couple of days, maybe a week or two before we kind of capitulate and start to push up again. So please be prepared for some choppy price action in the markets because of what he said. Now, something else that's important though is we have something that concerns me a bit. Right now, we're seeing more threats from one country or from one person to another, not necessarily good from the global stage. Obviously, President Joe Biden did actually address this, and he did mention, let's see if this loads. I don't know what happened. Basically, President Joe Biden mentioned that he's willing to side with Taiwan, and he does not like threats like this being made. He mentioned that they're a big threat, and he mentioned it's not good for the world in general. So, my point in saying this is not to pick any sides, but to make it clear that the global situation is not good from the side of Russia to the side of Taiwan, not good whatsoever. And I really hope it does not escalate because it's going to be horrible for our economy, for everyday people, for citizens, people all over the world, for the stock market. It's not going to be pretty if something were to escalate. Right now, the markets are kind of nervous about this. Things haven't escalated yet to the degree we're worried about. We'll just have to wait and see how that really goes. All right, so what does this mean for the markets? Well, looking at SPY broke below 380, then it broke below 378. So right now, SPY looks like it's free falling. And let me find that gap. There's a gap somewhere here on SPY that's very important. Let me find it way back here. All right, SPY has a gap down here. It's at about the 376s. So we haven't even filled the gap yet. There's a gap down here. I do see SPY filling the gap and hopefully getting a bounce close to like 375, hopefully. But besides that, I can't guarantee it, guys. It still looks more bearish overall, and we could see more of a drop continuing in the markets, unfortunately. With that said, because SPY and Tesla and all these stocks are looking more bearish, I mean, NIO has the potential to come down a little bit more. So for NIO, what I'm going to be watching is how does NIO respond? Let me use a different time frame to make this easier to see. I think the 5 minute would be better. All right, for the 5 minute, I'm going to be watching $18. Let's see if NIO could hold $18 because if we don't hold 18, there's actually a gap around like the high 17s. NIO could end up filling the gap and entering the high 17s. If we come lower, then 17.5 is on the table, guys. So please be ready. 17.4 to 17.5. Very, very possible for NIO to touch that if the whole market begins to drop even more after what Jerome Powell said. And I do think it's very likely we see NIO actually come down to these levels for the short term because unfortunately the global stage is not necessarily too excited about what's coming from the Fed and also with inflation. So for tomorrow, even if NIO pushes up a bit, remember 18.5, 18.76, and then $19 are going to be resistance levels. NIO is likely going to come down, retest $18. If we don't hold that, this thing's going to come down like this. We have to try to hold 18 bucks. If we don't hold that, we're likely to fill the gap. 17.76 was a key zone for NIO in the past. Hopefully we can bounce off that. If not, 17.4 to 17.5 is on the table, guys. Unfortunately, I know we don't like to see NIO trading like this. I could see NIO come down to these levels, so please be very careful. Also, remember, it's a good buying opportunity. That's the first thing to remember. The second thing is it's not NIO's fault. All right, NIO is an awesome company. Tesla's an awesome company. Apple's an awesome company. They're all taking hits because of the overall economy, the overall macroeconomic trends, and what's going on with the Fed. So besides that, I have to remind everyone, NIO is still an awesome company and the long-term future is still very bright. The NIO EP9 supercar will be available for auction at this year's Peterson Museum, the annual gala. Once again, absolutely incredible. I'm so bullish. So I'm bullish for the long term, guys. I also believe if nothing really goes wrong going into like the midterms, which is like right here, the market should get a nice bounce somewhere around October and start to rally as we approach midterms. I'm still standing by that. The only, or like one of the biggest things that could change my opinion would be the global situation if something happens in Taiwan. Otherwise, I'm still pretty confident we're going to get a nice push to the upside. I'm not promising it though, so don't just like take it as financial advice because nothing here is financial advice. I just want you to let everyone know. Anyways, I gave you guys my prediction. NIO is a very strong company fundamentally. They're delivering their battery swap stations to European countries. They're expanding. They have a good business model. They're getting very close to profitability. And I do believe one day they're going to get there. It's just going to take a little bit longer than expected because of the global situations. But I believe they will prevail. They're going to persevere. I'm super bullish long term. Short term, we're going to most likely see some more very good buying opportunities. NIO is likely going to come down more because of the overall market. So please remain calm, cool, and collected. Do what you have to do. I'll most definitely see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon because the long-term future is bright, and peace out.